Hey, what's up? What's up? Welcome back, guys. Oh my gosh. Hey, Howard, good evening to you too. Welcome back. I am so excited for tonight. This is a really important species, and just this is one near and dear to my heart. So it's the Dusky Shark. Dusky Shark, Carcharhinus obscurus. So welcome back. Howard, thank you so much for your wonderful piece of art. And I love the motion in this, and I actually really love the profile of just like the snout, like just as far as like the face on the species. That just looks really cool. Dusky sharks are not very well known in pop culture, and I feel like they're one of the most difficult sharks to probably draw. As far as they have a very subtle kind of body plan, like they have a very subtle look to them. So I just think it's really cool that you're able to capture some of the features that make dusky sharks distinct, including the position of the first dorsal fin. So the first dorsal fin is right behind the end rear tip of the pectoral fin. I really like how in your art the first dorsal fin is behind. Pectoral fin. There we go. Sorry. I love that your art, the first dorsal fin in the art, is right behind the pectoral fin. That's one of the key features used to identify the species. So this is just really cool. I love the look of the shark. I love, again, the motion just of it swimming in the water column. And love that additional, that almost looks like a barracuda or some kind of like mackerel that he might be chasing after, but it just looks really cool. So thank you so much for sharing this piece. It's really great to see your art, and just really love this. Especially, again, this is a species that I really care about a lot for a lot of different reasons. So, but hope you had a good weekend, and I'm just really excited to dive in. This is really, hey, Sir Duckless Bane, what's up? The color makes me think of lemon shark. Yeah, so this is I think that so dusky sharks, they usually are a kind of like a gray, like a slatey gray color, but for this piece, I think the yellow is kind of like the lighting, the ripples and the reflection from the lighting. Hey, Minjas, what's up? So, and I really love that, and that's actually something I've noticed in a couple of your pieces, Howard, where there's this beautiful mako shark that you did last year, like that had a similar yellow lighting effect. I think it's really cool. So. Thank you so much for sharing this, and I'm just so excited to dive into the species. So, hope you guys all had a good weekend. Let me know what you did over the weekend, and let's dive into the dusky shark. So there's a lot of reasons why I particularly love this shark, and this is going to be a really fun stream tonight, where just it's kind of like going down memory lane a little bit, and it's also a very important species for shark conservation. And I guess, so I could just close this tab really quickly. This was my first book, was on dusky sharks. So my first couple books were kind of like more middle grade. They were like these like small little things. And the very first one was Carcharhinus obscurus is the title. I named the first books like, just after like species names. And like, this was the very first species that I worked on, and the very first species that I had like a publication about. And I think the bull shark compendium, like that was kind of like more of a robust like book for adults, but these were kind of like, my first entry into like writing, and first entry into like kind of writing about sharks, and just kind of like looking back on this in particular, and like just I remember like just kind of doing a lot of research on dusky sharks, and trying to learn more about them. This one is kind of near and dear to my heart, so I'm going to close out the tab because there's a lot to cover about the species, but it's a species I'm very familiar with, and the reason why it was the first book I ever worked on and the first book I ever published is probably because as far as Chesapeake Bay sharks, or sharks that do live in the Chesapeake Bay area, it's at that time the most important from a conservation perspective. It was the most endangered species at that time. So, and I wanted to prioritize that when I started writing. So this species is, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. It's a really critical species for shark research and shark conservation. It's one of the I would say for American shark research, it's one of the keystone species for like conservation studies and kind of starting out or setting up like best practices in terms of monitoring how sharks are doing, how they're declining, and what they need. And for dusky sharks specifically, the big thing that is really affecting them is their reproductive cycle, where These sharks will have a very long gestation period of about, I think the average is 18 months. I think varying publications will say 16 to like 22. So that's double the time of like, like a human pregnancy. Like that's double the time. And then after that, after they give birth, they will take a year and a half long break. So the entire reproductive cycle between the actual like gestation period and then the break, in which female dusky sharks don't mate, is 3 years. 3 years to like rebuild stocks of this species. So that is one of the worst reproductive rates as far as sharks go. Like all sharks are like, or let me say most sharks. Most sharks are pretty slow as far as reproduction and have a very slow reproductive cycle. But dusky sharks in particular have a really pronounced like just it just takes forever for the species to replenish itself. So, oh Howard, awesome! I just saw your comment. Went up north to visit my mother this weekend. Awesome. Hope you had a good visit. And then just saw your comment. Oh damn, yes, yeah. It's a very critically important species as far as conservation goes. What's kind of sad to say is like, so I started Dr. Jaws I started like really the back end starting in 2012, so 12 years ago, and then the first book was published 2013, so it's 11 years ago. And like this was like 12 years ago, this was the only species that was really on the radar for endangered sharks in the Bay Area. Like this was, or the Chesapeake Bay area, that this was the only species that was kind of like on that radar. And then now it's kind of sad to say that today there's a lot more sharks that are really not doing so well that enter the Chesapeake Bay. We have the scalped hammerhead, Sphaerna lewini is critically endangered now. The sand tiger shark, Carcharhinus taurus, is also critically endangered. Dusky shark is currently endangered. The basking shark has degraded. There's some hope for the basking shark. The basking shark is degraded to endangered status, but part of it is just its own its own life history. Basking sharks were just hunted so relentlessly in the mid 20th century, like 19th century, 20th century, that it's going to take a long time for them to recover, but they are definitely a protected species, so they're starting to come back a little bit. But yeah, basking shark, sand tiger shark, scalped hammerhead, dusky shark, and then bonnetheads now. Bonnetheads are listed as endangered species. So a lot of sharks are not... Oh, and sandbar shark. Sandbar shark is the other really big poster child for American shark conservation research, like in early days. They are also not doing well. So it's really sad to see that even in my lifetime, even in just like my career life, if you will, like there's been degradation in the span of 10 years. Some of that is science catching up and research catching up, and some of that might be us starting to realize that wow. These optimistic outlooks on sharks that we had are actually accurate. Like sharks are really a couple shark species are really in trouble. And not just in the Chesapeake Bay region, but just really like in the Mid Atlantic, or I mean like around the world. But for these species in particular, like their status in the Mid Atlantic is definitely threatened. So it's kind of sad and very sobering to see. Even in my lifetime, there's a couple species that are just really not doing well. On the positive end, there's a couple species that are either kind of pretty much staying the same, or we know that they're okay. So we know that sand devils are okay. It's a kind of angel shark. It's one of the few that is okay, or the sharp-nosed sharks are okay. But this is a little bit of a tangent, but dusky sharks are kind of like the first foray, for me at least, as far as shark conservation, learning that wow, a lot of sharks are not really doing so well. So I'm really excited to talk about it tonight, and just to kind of learn much more about it and bring more attention and light to this species, which really does not get a lot of attention. And I kind of have some theories why it doesn't really get a lot of attention as far as like pop culture goes. But thank you. I just saw the comment. You put it perfectly. Thank you. And then also, at the very least, something could be said about the increased numbers of endangered sharks that possibly also being a result of increased awareness. Yes, yeah. So, because really, as far as fisheries go, I feel like it depends on the species, but like kind of between the 50s and I would say the 80s, is when a lot of sharks were really starting to get really hit, as far as like their fisheries, and it varies between species. Some species were significantly impacted earlier, but I think it wasn't really until the 80s, and actually shark research in the United States, and in particular in Virginia for this species, that didn't really start until the 70s and really started to kind of get some legs in the 80s. And like there's a lot of catching up to do where it's like those stocks were like those shark stocks were just impacted so much throughout like the mid 20th century, like 1950s 1980s, that by the time we started to pay more attention to them, the damage was kind of really done. And I feel like the 70s and 80s was kind of about kind of assessing what's going on. The 90s was kind of more about like, okay, we're going to put some measures into place for a lot of species. We're going to start like really, managing shark species, managing their stocks and seeing if we can have an impact. And then I would say from that point onward, we have, helped some sharks. Some sharks we're still monitoring the decline, but some sharks we're starting to see some encouraging signs in the Chesapeake Bay region in general. And I think this was from 2021. There were some signs of slight recovery for depending on the species, but yeah. So dusky sharks. The theory I have about why these sharks aren't really super popular is I think they're very hard to identify, and there's not something really distinct about this species. It's kind of like I feel like to identify a dusky shark, for the general public, it's like you're kind of like a shark master if you can do that, because they're very, very similar looking to a lot of other different kinds of species. Professional researchers definitely have a hard time identifying the species, like from a boat or like in rough conditions at sea. It gets confused with like the Galapagos shark, or is kind of like the big one. Sometimes silky sharks. Silky sharks have a little bit more of a distinctive look to them. But and I think sometimes big nose sharks, I could be wrong on that, but dusky sharks look kind of, I don't want to say they look generic, but they do look kind of like the classic shark look. This is like the classic textbook. This is what you think of when you think of a shark. Just like a normal shark. And I know like white sharks are usually the poster child for sharks, but white sharks are just so unique. Like they are very, as far as sharks go, there's nothing else that looks like a great white. It just is this big, giant, like huge triangular teeth, stark color pattern, like really rough looking, impressive animal. So as far as like a generic shark, like a shark that just is the very first image that comes to mind for the word shark, I would say the dusky shark probably fits that. And that might be to its detriment, unfortunately, because it's just, I think it's easy for the species to kind of fade in the background and for people to not really understand what it is. And it's a real shame, because it's actually it's a very impressive species. It's the largest, and actually, let me pull up some footage just to kind of, sorry, I'm rambling, and we should probably dive into just some actual dusky shark footage. But it's a very impressive species. It's the largest Carcharhinus. So this is the same genus as bull sharks, as sandbar sharks. I mentioned Galapagos sharks, big nose sharks, black tip sharks. It's the same genus, but this one is the superlative. These sharks get to be about 14 feet long. This is a really cool video, by the way. This is a mix of dusky sharks and sandbar sharks. So the two big ones we just saw in the foreground were sandbars. That's a dusky. The big thing, actually, let me go back to the photo so we can learn how to identify a dusky shark. The big thing to look for dusky sharks is the origin of the first dorsal fin is right behind. This is kind of hard to see in this photo because this is at an angle, but the origin of the first dorsal fin is right behind the end of the pectoral fin, or the free rear tip. Since this individual is kind of turning towards us, it's kind of distorting the positioning. But not a lot of shark species have that fin placement. Some sharks have the fin further up the body, but if you drew a straight line from the origin of the first dorsal fin down to the rear edge of the pectoral fin, that would be more likely than not a dusky shark. Silky sharks have their fin a little bit further back. Most species have their fin more tucked in and closer to the pectoral fins, but dusky sharks have a very unique look. Let me see. I think I have. Where are we? Oh man, I had a good. There we go. Okay, that's a really good illustration of what I'm talking about. That's much better. Okay. So this is exactly what it is. It's the origin of the first dorsal fin is if you draw a straight line down from that point, it's behind the free rear tip of the pectoral fin. So, and again, that's pretty unique to this species. Some species may come slightly close to that, but really dusky sharks kind of have a unique look as far as the fin placement. So that's the most important way to identify a dusky shark. There's a couple other features. I know they mentioned a couple here. So the interdorsal ridge. So dusky sharks and sandbar sharks have this little ridge. It's kind of like these raised dermal denticles on the back. Other sharks like bull sharks don't have it. So if you catch a shark, like if you're a researcher catching a shark, the ridge is a very useful feature to look for. But if you're like a scuba diver or a boat observer, it's probably hard to see. So really, like the fin placement is probably going to be more effective. The snout, it's not really super helpful. I would say just like overall, like the look of a dusky shark is just a little bit longer, I guess is the right way to say it. Like sandbar sharks look pretty compact. Bull sharks look really big and tough. Dusky sharks look a little bit more slender, a little sleek, like a little bit more elongate. And like once you kind of start to see them in the wild, you start to kind of get a feel for how they move and what they are. But really that dorsal fin is kind of like the big thing to look for the species. So this video is really cool. And I should have introduced it more properly. This is from Marine Research Station. So definitely want to like and subscribe to that. But this is a cool video where you can see both dusky sharks and sandbar sharks, and it's a good little guide in terms of telling them apart. So that's a sandbar shark, and let's actually slow that down. We'll slow that down so we can kind of get a better view of who's who. So this one's a dusky. This one is a sandbar. The sandbar sharks have big dorsal fins, and the fins are further up the body. There's a shark. That one is a dusky. You can see the dorsal fin is over the rear origin. That's a rear tip of the pectoral. That's a sandbar. That's a sandbar too. So these two on the bottom are sandbar sharks. And what's cool about sandbar sharks is like their dorsal fins and pectoral fins. They all are pretty much the same size. They look like this cool triangle shape, like this pyramid shape. There's a sandbar. And that's actually a good illustration where it's like all their fins are all equal size. This one is a dusky. It's cool to see them like chilling, just kind of cruising along this like these murky waters. It's pretty eerie, and I really like it. That's a dusky. Great shot of a dusky because like you can see how kind of slender it looks. See how like it looks a lot more. It looks a lot longer. A little bit more elongate body plan. And it's kind of cool. It kind of fits with the dusky shark's lifestyle. It is a coastal species, but it's kind of a coastal pelagic species. So it spends time inshore on the coast, and then it will go offshore. And it kind of, in that sense, almost looks like some of its offshore cousins, like the silky shark or the blue shark or the oceanic white tip, where they have like the long pectoral fins. So. Let's see if a shark pops out of this clip. I'll speed it back up because we're just seeing fishies right now. Here you go. This is it sped back up to normal speed. There we go. That one's a dusky. Yeah, that's a dusky. So again, very graceful, long shape. That one's a sandbar, a little bit squatter, more compact with the three big fins. Yeah, and you can even see they look kind of like, and I'm not using technical terms, but they look kind of cuter. They look a little bit less like offensive or less like they look a little bit more rounded. Like the fins look bigger, the faces look a little bit more rounded. Although, to be real, like there's nothing cute about a giant sandbar shark. Moat Marine Lab had a couple sandbar sharks in its tank that were just enormous. Like they were like 7-8 feet, and that doesn't sound that big, but just seeing them cruising through that water column they're huge. That's a sandbar shark again. And sandbar sharks are pretty harmless. Dusky sharks are theoretically deserving of caution. Dusky sharks, being the biggest in their genus Carcharhinus, they are known to go after really large prey items. One thing I really want to review tonight is dusky sharks doing pack hunting on whales. That's something I've seen before, where it's some of the research has said that. It sounds so outlandish that I'm like, is that a real thing? But it is something that people have observed. So I definitely want to see if we could verify whale hunting records, and it's really cool. It kind of reminds me of like velociraptors as far as like dusky sharks doing pack hunting. Oh my gosh, I love the comment. Sorry guys, the shark of sharks. Very elegant swimming. Cute should be a scientific term. They look a little goofy. Stradoclus, yes, I love that comment. They look a little goofier. They kind of do, yeah. Not the dusky shark, but the sandbar sharks. They do look a little goofier. So, just as far as like they have kind of like the bigger nose and like the bigger eyes. Here's a nice dusky shark juvenile. That's a great shot of the profile. Let me make that a lot bigger, actually. So where I am in Virginia, dusky sharks do have nurseries, but they have them on the barrier islands, like on the coastline. They do not, like, they will go into the bay rarely, but these sharks like to be in full seawater. They like to be closer to actual seawater. They don't really want to be in estuaries as much as other shark species that are found in the bay. I'm going to play that one more time. That's just such a great shot of just that feature where, again, that first dorsal fin, it's originating right behind the free rear tip of the pectoral. So just the placement of the dorsal fin is just the biggest key as far as identifying a dusky shark. This is also a really good shot for another part of the dusky shark's namesake, is that if you look at its tips, like its fin tips, it does have a dusky spot. So it's not an actual, like, it's not like a full black tip, but it is like dark looking. So that's where it does get its name from. So dusky fin tips, Carcharhinus obscurus, the Latin name obscurus does mean dark or obscured. So it's in reference to the coloration. Unfortunately, though, coloration is not a good thing to use for shark identification for this genus, because a lot of Carcharhinus sharks, they do have the black fin tips. Even bull sharks, when they're young, bull sharks will have like dusky or dark fin tips. So color, unless it's like a cat shark, color is not the best feature to identify a shark species in Carcharhinus. So this is a little bit of a darker clip, but still kind of cool where you can see. It actually might be kind of helpful where you can see in that silhouette just that physical look of a dusky shark. And it was kind of cool when I compare it to the other two species in the Chesapeake Bay. And actually, if you include the blacktip shark and spinner shark, the blacktip shark and spinner shark, which are also known to kind of venture in the Chesapeake Bay, it still has a very distinctive profile. So, again, not using scientific terms, bull sharks look intimidating, big, just stocky. Sandbar sharks look more compact, bigger fins. I will borrow Stradoclus Bain's goofy. Dusky sharks look pretty sleek and streamlined. This is a beautiful shot of a dusky shark right here. Pretty sleek, streamlined, very sharky. Blacktip sharks look kind of sharp. Black tips have a really nice, like, sharp look to them as far as their fins go. And then spinner sharks kind of look like a more slender version of that. So dusky sharks are, big but pretty, like, elongate. Very just classic shark look. And like look how smooth, like the swim cycle is really beautiful. Like just how smoothly it glides through the water. It's a top predator. Again, it handles very large prey items, like it pretty much eats anything really, like as far as bony fish, octopi, crustaceans. And then again, there's this whole thing about dusky sharks attacking whales, which is really cool. And something that I feel like that's kind of unique about the species. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say unique, but it is something that's more unique about the species. Because I've heard of bull sharks going after dolphins, but dusky sharks, not a lot of sharks can actually take on a whale. At least you know not a lot of modern sharks can do that. So it's really cool to think about dusky sharks being able to do that. And these are little guys, like the ones that we're seeing in these clips. These are juveniles. This species again gets to be about 14 feet long, maximum size, like 12 to 14 feet. So it's kind of remarkable to think about. Beautiful, beautiful, sleek shark. And I love how effortlessly it's swimming through the water column. Part of that, of course, are the dermal denticles, so like the scales, literally cutting through the water, allowing the shark to just pass through it like a torpedo. It's super, super cool. Also, don't mind me. I'm usually. It's been a while since I've had something on the stream. I'm usually somewhat classy and have a cup of tea, but tonight it's a McDonald's McFlurry, and sometimes it's just right. It is exactly what one needs. So, oh my gosh, it's so good. Like sometimes it just hits right. It just hits right. So, but here's a really cool marine, inshore marine environment with juvenile dusky sharks. And it's actually really cool to think about. There's a lot of sharks where we don't know where their nurseries are, or we have like a vague idea. Like great whites, really just kind of came out recently. Like identifying or trying to find great white nurseries, that's like a new thing. Whale sharks, that's also kind of like a new thing. Like these are big charismatic species that we still don't know a lot about. Dusky sharks, we have a lot better of an idea where their nurseries are. Again, the eastern shore of Virginia is a really big one. Or like the east coast, ooh, nice filefish. That's a really cool filefish. East coast of the United States, a really big nursery for both dusky sharks and sandbar sharks. And that's also a big reason why they're kind of like the pillars of at least Virginia, shark studies in Virginia, but definitely in the United States. Like sandbar sharks and dusky sharks are kind of like the two big, like I would say the sandbar sharks, dusky sharks, and dogfish, like pike dogfish, are probably the big species that on the East Coast are the most studied. Maybe sharp-nosed sharks, like maybe the Atlantic sharp-nosed sharks too. But those are like the real pillars of a lot of shark research. Which is really cool. It's kind of cool to see and be in the presence of, such an important species, as far as the history of shark science goes and shark conservation goes. So these are really cool shots of individual dusky sharks just kind of cruising along, conserving their energy, just enjoying their environment. And it's cool to see them going in slightly different directions. So you wonder, like, are they hunting or just kind of cruising but picking up different odors or different stimuli in different areas as far as like when they change their direction. And it's lovely to see just a bunch of them kind of in the background. Because again, it's an endangered species, and so the idea of just seeing a lot of juveniles is just really, really uplifting for me. And look at them zooming. So, okay, two more clips. Just gonna catch up on the comments. Let's see. Catching up on comments. I heard sharks avoid eating humans because the bone to flesh ratio is higher than their typical prey. Interesting. I have never heard that before, but well, let me pause that really quick. That's a really good question. Let me read that again. So Deckless Bane, and I'm going to start that. Actually, Howard, I'm going to start that too. Sorry, Howard, dusky sharks don't reach sexual maturity until they are 20. Yes. That is really insane that's the case. Like this species with the 3-year reproductive cycle does not reach sexual maturity until they are 20 years old. That like, as far as a shark goes, that's like wild. It's almost like unheard of. As far as any animal goes, I mean, when you think about humans, like, so I mean, okay, I probably shouldn't say that, but like, but uh, but but puberty for humans, that happens so much younger, and it's kind of wild to think about. Like, okay, humans are very like, they have manipulated their environment so much, they've extended their lifespan so much, and the fact that there's an animal that can't do that, that does not have the ability to do that, still takes longer, like still has a much later sexual maturity. It's wild to think about. So yeah, that's a really good point, Howard. So definitely want to star that. So Douglas Bane, getting back to your question, I heard sharks avoid eating humans because the bone to flesh ratio is higher than their typical prey. Is there any truth to that? That is really interesting. I have never heard of that personally, and a lot of considerations there because it would have to be. I think a good question would be which species that quote is surrounding, and I would guess it's probably a quote attributed to great whites, as far as great whites having probably the highest number of recorded shark attacks. And then also great whites being in areas where their preferred prey item, which are seals, they intersect with humans, as far as like surfers or swimmers or bathers. Um, I I think my only meaningful contribution to that is a lot of sharks, a lot of the big ones, definitely like the bull sharks, the tiger sharks, the white sharks, and the oceanic white tips. I think the meaningful contribution I have is that these are all opportunistic predators, and that they are able to manipulate and incorporate a very varied diet. So these four species have, and I guess dusky sharks included, have a unique tooth type as far as like these are large animals with like these really almost perfectly triangular serrated teeth, as capable of like manipulating and like slicing through very large prey. And it opens up a lot of opportunities for them as far as these sharks are able to take huge chunks of flesh out of dead whales, or in the case of bull sharks, potentially living dolphins. These sharks have been known to eat, like, I mean, tiger sharks famously eat anything like suits of armor or trash cans or garbage or like sea turtles. Bull sharks have been known to eat dogs. They've been known to eat dolphins, pigs, cows. So the fact that these species are able to eat a variety of prey items, and a lot of different prey items have been found in their stomachs, I personally err on the side of they probably are not very selective. I err on the side of they're generalists and opportunistic, and so I think I don't know how legitimate that study would be as far as like they prefer not to eat humans because of the bone to flesh ratio. I don't know how true that would be, just because these species are able to kind of incorporate a lot of different kinds of food in their diet. And a good example is like the fact that some tiger sharks eat sea turtles, and you think about the amount of bone or shell in the sea turtle versus meat from that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna guess that it probably is not true. They probably are not selecting against humans, but I don't know. I definitely want to put a pin in that and kind of keep an eye out for that, because that is a really interesting idea. So I also love this comment. Bull shark looks like they hit the gym and use steroids. Love it. Oh my gosh. Yes, and Minja is so efficient. Reproduction is just straight up difficult for the species. Yes, it's the biggest problem. And honestly, I would, like, if I had to pick like a panda bear for shark conservation, I might pick this one. This one might be a really good one as far as like this is a really good case study of a shark to save. Like the dusky shark is a really, really important shark as far as there's so much hurting it right now, and there's so much about its life history that's really affecting it. So just yeah, I like it's uniquely it's at a unique disadvantage as far as its reproductive cycle. So so Douglas, wait, how does a bull shark eat a cow? So you know how bull sharks are able to enter fresh water. They're found in a lot of different parts of the world, including like South Africa, India. They're able to. The largest bull shark was caught in Chennai. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, in India, but there might be areas like river areas where maybe cows are, just kind of like walking through the water or cooling off, in a very warm climate, and a bull shark can possibly munch on it. Or maybe a dead cow, falls into a river or is thrown into a river and it floats down a river. That might be how a bull shark captured it. But cows have been found in bull shark stomachs. So, yep. Sir Douglas, I think pandas will inevitably die out with or without human interference. It's interesting. I don't know much about pandas as far as the success of their conservation efforts. I feel like because they're such poster children and because there's such a large breeding program of them across the world, I don't know. I genuinely don't know because I don't know their genetic situation as far as like, is there enough genetic diversity to help pandas, or is there like a bottleneck there? I don't really know actually much about them, so I hope they're okay. My gut is they might be okay just since they have so much attention, but I don't really know. This was a really cool video, by the way, from Cape Fear Shark Cam, and I really love this website or this YouTube channel, so please check them out. But look at the dusky shark just emerging from the shadows, like almost perfectly camouflaged from its environment. Look at that. I love how smooth that is. So looking again, like, you have all these like little reef fish, like it's nice hogfish over there actually, and then in the middle of the school you just see this shadow. Like there it is. There's the shark, just blending so perfectly in the white underbelly, kind of blending with the silver of the surrounding fish. It's so good looking, and it's actually really cool to see that dusky sharks do have like a very subtle white flank stripe on their sides. So we'll rewind this one more time. Oh, there's a barracuda down there, right there. Yeah. That's a nice barracuda. Cool. Oh, actually, there's some angelfish here, too. This is really cool. This area, Cape Fear, North Carolina, it's true subtropical environment. So it's right at the beginning of the Carolinian Atlantic, or the Carolinian ecoregion. So you got a lot of cool species. It's technically temperate, but it's subtropical. But here we go. Yeah, there's that white flank stripe. Which kind of definitely is reflecting the light, and like you can see it helps it shimmer, and blend in with that school of fish. And I love how it just sneaks up on you. That is an awesome like it's this beautiful like subtle camouflage like that is superbly effective. When you think of camouflage, you usually think of like complex patterns to help you hide in forests or coral reefs, but it's cool. Counter shading and kind of like open ocean camouflage can be just as impressive as far as like that shark just sneaks up on you. That's just really cool to see. Man, that's so cool. All right, and that's a little slightly larger individual. Not the maximum size, not anywhere near it, but it's a nice size individual. So we got one more clip, and then we'll kind of dive in to. Oh, Howard, interesting. In Scotland, sheep will strand themselves, and when the tide comes in, they will drown in the ocean. Oh my gosh, I did not know that. That kind of reminds me of pilot whales a little bit, where I don't understand how pilot whales have such a strong herding instinct. And oh, that's actually okay. That's a larger dusky shark. That one's a little bit of a bigger individual. Not full size, but you can kind of tell, not just by the proportions, but also just kind of like the general shape, like the eyes in particular, like, they look a bit smaller. And actually, did he just snap up a fish? Hold on. What just happened? Oh, he actually might have snapped up a fish. Hold on. Let's slow that down. That's a cool clip. All right. Alright, so the shark is moving towards, there's a lot of fish around him. I know it's a little grainy. Changing his direction. Yep, okay, and he like lunges. He arches his back a little bit and lunges his jaws a little bit. It's hard to see because it's he's away from us, or she's away from us. I think this is a female actually. But that's a pretty cool shot, I think. Yeah, I think she was going after a fish, so it's really cool. Oh man, such a cool shark. And you could tell very active. Like definitely, like these guys are swimming pretty quickly. They're making quick tight turns. This one is like it's interesting. Kind of chilled at the bottom for a little bit. And actually, a couple are doing that. These stupid title cards are in the way, but they were kind of rubbing themselves on a point in this environment. So yeah, this one I think comes close down. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, kind of bumping down, rubbing up against the rock there. So I wonder if that's for a particular reason. There's another one doing that too, behind this hippo wonky tusk video. These are great shots. Actually, that was a really good clip of the ridge. Let me rewind that just so we can show you guys. This is super cool. Because it's kind of hard to see that interdorsal ridge, which is so important for identifying Carcharhinus sharks. You can kind of see it. Let me slow that down. I'm very grateful that YouTube has the slow down instant replay thing. It's quite helpful. Hippo wonky tusk. Hashtag wildlife, hashtag shorts, hippo wonky tusk. Hippo wonky tusk 2024, hippo wonky tusk. Okay, here we go. Coming. I think it was the individual on the left who's kind of coming towards camera behind hippo wonky tusk. Okay. Alright, here we go. You can kind of see it in full speed, but when you go past that first dorsal fin, there's this nice ridge on the back. There it is. Yeah, you can see it. See that raised ridge? That is the interdorsal ridge. So that is a really, really critical feature. If you are a shark scientist and you have a shark on your boat and you're trying to identify it, that's a really key feature to help narrow down your list of potential species. There you go. That's a nice shot of it, actually. One more time at full speed, and then we will learn about the Dusky Shark. There we go. There we go. That's a good shot of that ridge. So I'm glad we checked that out because also this is Lion Mountain TV. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool clip. Okay. Go to Florida Museum of Natural History, which is a great starting point for dusky sharks. Hippo wonky tusk, yeah. Oh my gosh, they caught the invisible fish. Yeah, he definitely lunged out. It's hard to see. It's hard to see if he got a fish in his jaws or maybe it was just kind of like having not a reaction, but kind of stretching. But I think he did get a fish and the fish was out of frame. But here we go. It's been a while since we've seen Florida Museum of Natural History. A really great introductory website to shark species, especially sharks in the Atlantic. So here we go. Dusky sharks. Dusky sharks are wide-ranging coastal and pelagic species that prefer temperate to tropical waters. Large body, typically gray, dusky margins of the fins. Because dusky sharks are very slow-growing, mature late, and have small litters, they are particularly vulnerable to overexploitation. This is kind of like this is a very famous dusky shark photo, but it's kind of a shame because it's really wonky looking and like no offense to the photographer because it's a beautiful shot, but you're just seeing the shark at an angle and it's hard to get that key feature of the first dorsal fin and how it relates to pectoral fins. So, but it's a very famous picture. There's a couple. Yeah, there you go. See, it's in a couple different publications. So, let's see. Common English language names for a shark include the dusky shark, the black whaler. That's really cool. Or the common whaler. That's actually pretty appropriate. Let's see. Donkerhai in Afrikaans. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Dodabuka in Japanese. Very cool. It's kind of interesting reading that dusky sharks are part of commercial fisheries. I mean, they were, but and they still are in different parts of the world. But again, it's such an endangered species that it's just a shame to see that. Beautiful individual right here. Dusky sharks are potentially dangerous due to their large size and occurrence in shallow coastal waters, though they have been implicated in few interactions with humans. They are frequently encountered in beach meshing programs in Australia and South Africa. This conservation status is out of date, so we'll take a look at IUCN Red List because the new status is endangered, so it's a true endangered species. And here's the Dusky Shark's range. So I'm used to the North Atlantic population, but they also occur in the South Atlantic. You also have Dusky Sharks off Iberia, Northern Africa, or Northern and Western Africa, South Africa. Couple of populations around in different spots in the Indian Ocean, some in Japan and China, completely encircling Australia, potentially some in New Zealand, and then a population in Baja California area. So fairly cosmopolitan-ish distribution. Okay, the Dusky Shark is a large coastal and pelagic shark with a patchy distribution in tropical and warm temperate seas from the surface down to depths of 500 meters. That's actually, as far as sharks go, not the deepest, but the species has low biological productivity with late age at maturity and a long reproductive cycle. It is caught globally as target and bycatch in pelagic and coastal large and small-scale longline, purse seine, and gillnet fisheries and is often retained for the meat and fins. Steep declines have occurred in the northwest Atlantic, so where I am, and eastern Indian Ocean, and to a lesser degree in the western Indian Ocean. Trends in the eastern Atlantic off West Africa are suspected to be declining. The global population reduction is estimated to have undergone a reduction of 72%, with the highest probability of 80% reduction over the 3-generation lengths. The areas with available abundance trend data are relatively small compared to the global distribution, and abundance trends are unknown in parts of its distribution. The overall estimated population reduction is steep, and management in many parts of its range is lacking, including areas of intense exploitation, likely leading to steep inferred population reduction. However, management action in the Northwest Atlantic and Eastern Indian Ocean have resulted in the stabilization and possible slow recovery in these regions. Therefore, the Dusky Shark is assessed as endangered. So that is actually a lot more optimistic than I was expecting. Because this species is just infamous for not handling fishing pressure really well. But that's really cool to see that management action in the Northwest Atlantic, so that's like the United States and Canada. Well, I guess the shark is not in Canada, right? So, yeah, not in Canada. But I guess the United States and Mexico, the fact that is actually possibly showing slow recovery, that's really cool. And that's really encouraging, because I'm used to the species just like being in trouble. So that's really exciting that actually might be okay. Or it might be on the upward trend. So. Let's see. Oh, Mingus, I wonder if there's some other feature that photo highlights. Is that why it's used so often? And yes, woo recovery. Yes, I definitely agree. I don't know. I think this is a really pretty photo. Maybe the dusky fin tips potentially, but again, it's kind of like I wish it captured just the position of the dorsal fin versus the pectoral fins, because that's really like the key thing for the species. But it is a really beautiful photo. So. Geographical distribution. We'll do habitat. Dusky sharks are highly migratory, ranging from shallow inshore waters to the outer continental shelf and adjacent oceanic waters. Adults of this species tend to avoid areas of low salinity and rarely enter estuaries. So, I mentioned that earlier in the Chesapeake Bay. You can find them, but they're really not common, and they like to be near the lagoons and the barrier islands where there's full seawater in Virginia. So. Nursery grounds have been identified in shallow inshore waters off the southern coast of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Really awesome, important shark location. Along the east coast of the United States, where I am, and off the southwest coast of Australia. Dusky sharks make large-scale seasonal migrations, often covering thousands of kilometers per migration event. In the western Atlantic and eastern Pacific, animals move north during summer and south in the winter. In southern Africa and Australia, dusky sharks move north during austral winter, winter through spring, and south during the austral summer through autumn. Dusky sharks are also known to segregate by both size and sex. So a lot of sharks do that where, they do sexually segregated schools. I forget, as far as dusky sharks, how they do their schools, where like large females are where males are. I assume the larger individuals are probably offshore. I think the smaller individuals stay inshore in the nurseries, and the larger individuals kind of spend more time offshore. So, biology: dusky sharks are most frequently confused with Galapagos sharks. These species have hybridized in the past. Oh, that's cool! Look at that. These species have hybridized in the past, meaning that they are indistinguishable using traditional molecular barcoding methods. Their external morphology is superficially very similar, but they have different numbers of precaudal vertebrae, as well as marked and consistent differences in the onset of maturity. Interesting. So I wonder if Galapagos sharks mature more quickly. They also occupy separate ecological niches, with dusky sharks most commonly found along continental margins, while Galapagos sharks prefer offshore islands and seamounts. Interesting. Dusky sharks are also confused with other species of Carcharhinus, particularly silky sharks, Carcharhinus falciformis, and the sandbar shark, Carcharhinus plumbeus. Dusky sharks have low, rounded dorsal fins, large falcate pectoral fins, a low interdorsal ridge. The first dorsal fin originates over or slightly before the free rear tips of the pectoral fins. The second dorsal fin has a free rear tip length rarely more than twice the fin height. Gotcha. Let's see. Dusky shark is bluish-gray above, white underside. Fin margins are dusky, but may be inconspicuous in adults. This is really cool. Look at the teeth. So remember I said about like the perfect triangles, like the really big, broad, serrated teeth being kind of something unique to white sharks, bull sharks. I know tiger sharks have the heart-shaped teeth, but like this tooth type is like a really, really rare in the shark world. Most sharks have like fish-eating teeth, like piscivorous teeth. These are kind of more for bigger prey items. So you can apply these to fish, but you can apply these to a lot of other things as well. So these are pretty huge. Look how big dusky shark teeth are. Like the upper teeth are just broad triangles across the board, and they're all pretty large in size until you get to the very far back of the mouth. So that's actually a little scary, how big those teeth are. Let's see. Dusky sharks are very slow growing. Age of maturity varies with location, but generally falls between 16 to 23 years for males and 16 to 22 years for females. That's significantly longer than us. That's really freaky. Size at birth ranges from 70 to 100 centimeters. Maximum length ranges from 360 to 400 centimeters. About 12 feet, which is still huge. I've always heard their max size being 14 feet, but 12 feet is still an enormous shark. So, food habits. Dusky sharks primarily prey on bony and cartilaginous fishes, as well as crustaceans and cephalopods. So, not mentioning whales yet, but let's keep an eye out for whales being part of the diet, because that is something I've heard of for this species. So, dusky sharks are live-bearing and nourish their young in utero with a yolk sac placenta, which is really cool to see. That sharks have evolved something analogous to mammals, and they're in a completely different evolutionary tree or branch of the evolutionary tree, but it's pretty amazing to see that that they have their own version of like a placenta and live birth. It's really cool. They breed every 2 to 3 years. Females generally migrate inshore to pup. So. Predators: young dusky sharks may fall prey to larger sharks, including the bull shark. Mature dusky sharks have few, if any, predators. These guys get big. So. Again, Carcharhinus obscurus. Obscurus can be translated from Latin as dark or indistinct. Alright. So let's learn more about dusky sharks. Yes, natural shark hybridization. Yes. So, cool. I'm just a favorite example of natural hybridization takes place in the Galapagos. What's your favorite example? So dusky sharks, that's really cool that they're known to hybridize with sharks. I actually didn't know that. But I did know that black-tip sharks hybridize with the Australian black-tip. These are two different species, and they've been known to do that as well. So shark hybridization happens. It's really rare, but it does happen. I had no idea that it actually happened with dusky sharks, so that's actually really cool to see that. Also a little scary because hybrids can... I remember, I think we talked about this last year, and it might have been with blacktip sharks, because we did study blacktip sharks, so it could have been the blacktip shark episode, but hybrids are tricky because, if I remember correctly, so hybrids are two different species that can mate and successfully give birth to a viable offspring, but there's... because it's not the same species and the alleles or the genes don't line up exactly, a lot of hybrids could be sterile, or there's like a reproductive risk to having hybrids, which is why there's not really a lot of them in nature, because if I'm not mistaken, hybrids are sterile typically. And then another weird trait is that hybrids can sometimes be giants. Like there's like like hybridized animals can be very large, but they also can be sterile. So famous one being a liger, and I know it sounds dumb, like liger sounds made up, but that's an actual hybrid that can happen. I forget if a mule's a hybrid. Is it a mule that's a hybrid? Like it's like a donkey and a horse make a mule. One of those is a hybrid. So, oh, cool. The Galapagos land iguana and the Galapagos marine iguana can create hybrid babies. That is so cool. Did not know that. Oh, awesome. Okay, yes. Okay, so that's what I thought. So they are sterile. So, yeah, the iguana examples I brought up, the babies can't make more babies. Gotcha. Cool. Thank you for confirming that. That's so super cool. Mules, yes. Mule. Oh my gosh, yeah. So, there's a couple famous ones. I think there's a zebra one, like a zebra and a donkey. Ligers crack me up because, I think it's that movie Napoleon Dynamite where he keeps drawing ligers or something. I don't know. And it just sounds like a made up ridiculous animal, but ligers are real. It's a real thing. But again, hybrids can't reproduce, so it's not a common thing. But all right, dusky shark, Carcharhinus obscurus. That's from Shark Research Institute, so pretty cool website. Let's see if they have any new information. Really nice illustration from Mark Dando, and that's, again, just, I love, captures that key feature of the proportion of or position of the first dorsal fin related to pectoral fin. And you got the dusky fin tips. Let's see. Males mature at about 9 feet and reach at least 11 feet. Females mature about 8 to 10 feet and reach at least 12 feet. Shark is found on continental insular shelves, oceanic water adjacent to them. It ranges from the surf zone to far out to sea, and from the surface down to 400 meters. Okay, prey. Small sharks feed on bottom-dwelling animals. Large specimens feed on a variety of reef and pelagic fish, including sardines, tunas, eels, lizardfishes, and flatfishes. Smaller sharks. Rays, skates, squid, octopus, cuttlefish, crabs, lobster, starfish, barnacles, bryozoans, and even whale meat and garbage. Okay, so we're getting closer. But I heard that these sharks actively hunt whales, so let's keep looking. Reproduction, viviparous. Behavior, the shark is migratory in temperate and subtropical areas in northern Pacific and northern Atlantic. Young sharks form feeding aggregations. Gotcha. So the little guys get together for schools. And actually, we did see that in some of the clips earlier, that we did see quite a few individual dusky sharks in the nursery area, so... danger to humans. Because of its size and dentition, the shark is considered potentially dangerous and has been implicated in a number of GSAF. Is that the Global Shark Attack File? Yeah, Global Shark Attack File. Let's see how many... Let's just check it out. Let's just see how many dusky shark attacks there are. Species involved in incidents. Dusky Shark. Here we go. Oh, it's the same, it's verbatim the same text from that website. So we'll go back. It's kind of interesting. Shark species involved in incidents. We got white shark, tiger shark, bull shark, shortfin mako, lemon, oceanic white tip, blue shark, Galapagos shark, Caribbean reef shark, dusky shark, black tip shark, silky shark, gray reef shark, great hammerhead, black tip reef shark, broad-nosed seven-gill shark, blunt-nosed six-gill shark, nurse shark, sand tiger, woebegone, basking shark, spinner shark, and bronze whaler. Cookie cutter shark technically is in here. I'm pretty sure cookie cutter shark found a place in here because there's been 5 bites from them. What is this? Wait, why is the basking shark in here? Wait. Okay, I don't know why the basket shark's in here. I'm imagining maybe the basket shark slapped somebody with its fin. Okay. Incident log. I don't want to download the Excel file. I really don't want to download the Excel file. Okay, fine. We'll do that. We'll download the Excel file. There we go. Did it work? Is it loading? Oh, is it too big? Might be too big. Oh, it might be huge. I'm quite curious about the number of shark attack incidents, but if this is too big... Oh my gosh, okay, here we go. Can we see who's who? Oh, okay. Oh, hey, okay, we can do this. So this is really cool. This is a shark attack file. Let's go ahead and do some Excel magic and filter for dusky sharks. And I have oh, there we go. Filter. Okay. Oh no, this is pretty. Oh no, no. Oh, no, okay. This might not have everything, but... Oh, so yeah, see, cookie cutter shark is in there. You know what? I'm going to include the cookie cutter sharks, because I just want to show how cookie cutter sharks fit into the shark attack file. Dusky shark. Dusky shark. Dusky shark. Dusky shark again. And that's it. So not a lot. It's actually really cool. Okay, here we go. Oh, we don't have... Oh, shoot, this is kind of wild. They have people's names in here, but I guess since it's publicly available data, it's okay. It's a little freaky, but it's very interesting. I won't spend too much time here, but yeah, so... Activity, location, state, Hawaii. Sorry, the cookie cutter sharks were all in Hawaii. Queen Dusky Shark was Virginia. Wow. KwaZulu-Natal and Paget in New South Wales. What happened in Virginia? Spearfishing in Virginia Beach. Wow. Lacerations to left hand. 12-foot Dusky Shark. Oh my gosh. In 1998. So that happened. Dusky Shark, puncture wounds to right calf. This was snorkeling. Dusky Shark, helping friend land hooked shark. Foot lacerated provoked incident. Scuba diving, captive shark bit air hose and minor lacerations of diver cheek provoked incident. And finally, Dusky Shark, free diving but treading water at surface. Foot bitten Dusky Shark. Wow, identified by the tooth recovered. Oh my goodness. So... yeah, so this is really cool. So I guess for, you know what, if anybody wants to explore the shark attack file, let me put this here. Shout out to first name, last name. Yeah. So yeah, if anybody wants to explore the international shark attack file, that that probably is a lot of fun data to kind of come through as far as like seeing shark incidents and kind of seeing like the scenarios in which they occurred. So I definitely want to keep that for. I think I might just kind of play around with it later. So, but yeah, a shout out to first name last name. So, oh my gosh, yeah, actually, good call, Mingus. Basking shark. Let's pull that up because I don't know if that's like a website goof that a basking shark was included in this. I had a friend who did get hurt by a whale shark because the whale shark's tail fin, like kind of slapped his leg, and because the scales are so abrasive that it did tear a big gash in his leg. So it can happen. It's not ridiculous, but it still seems so strange. Here we go. Basking shark. Wow, it's actually in here. A few incidences here. Wow, okay. Wow, look at this, guys. Basking shark. So fishing, no injury to occupants. The shark struck their boat. Okay. Cruising, no injury to occupants. Boat sank after colliding with shark. Oh, no. Pleasure boating, no injury to occupants. 2 5-foot observation windows shattered by a basking shark. Fishing, no injury to occupants. Propeller shaft damaged by a basking shark. Oh, there's actually quite a few of these in here. Rowing, 3 people drowned when the boat was capsized by the shark. Hunting sharks, fatal, drowned or crushed when harpoon sharks smashed their boat, provoked incident. This is from 1899. Got you. Fishing for basking sharks, fatal, provoked incidents. Got you. Yeah, that's kind of amazing to see just the history of this file. So, the global shark attack file. Very interesting data to go through. If you guys want, please go ahead and check it out. Of course, it's pretty wild that it's publicly available. So yeah. All right, we'll go back to. We'll go back to learning more about dusky sharks, and beautiful shot from one of my new favorite websites. I mean, like, Andy Merck has always been a favorite shark photographer, but this new website is so good. I really am excited to learn more about like diving with the species. So here we go. I like that description. A potentially very large shark, but not overly robust. So. The dusky shark is the largest species within the genus Carcharhinus. The longest measured specimen was 384 centimeters. Let me convert that to feet. So, centimeters to feet. So we're just doing this, centimeters to feet. 384. Alright, I was close. It's 12.6 feet, so 12 and a half feet, so you can round it up to 13 feet. So I said 14 feet, but you can round it up to 13 feet, so pretty large shark. Oh man, I love this photo. So actually, you guys might recognize this. This is the same photo that's in the top. You're right, my left corner of my screen is this beautiful dusky shark photo by Andy Merck. So, and this was a photo that I used in that first book. I did buy rights to use it, for a publication. So sorry, that was kind of a blast from the past. I love this photo. This is such a great shot of a large dusky shark. Really beautiful individual. And it's like these sharks, you gotta take them seriously. Like, they're just so huge and like so like. I mean, I just love the look. Just look at his face. It's such a powerful animal. So, love that shot. So. The dusky shark is slow to reproduce species as caught globally as a target and bycatch in longline, purse seine, and gillnet fisheries. Where permitted, is often retained for the meat in fins. Significant declines have been reported in the Northwest Atlantic and Eastern Indian Ocean. In other areas, dusky shark declines are probably similar. We kind of read this, but globally, it's estimated the population has been reduced by 70 to 80%. So, let's see. habitat. Dusky sharks prefer warm temperate seas. They are found in inshore but more commonly on deeper reef, extending to the limit of the continental shelf. Surface to at least 500 meters. They are not known to enter brackish water. Reaction to divers. This is the stuff that I really like. Often shy, but known to make close passes. Bold and potentially aggressive in baited situations. Diving logistics. Dusky sharks randomly show up in various regions of the world, but less so in the warmer tropics. Duskies are fairly common on baited dives near Jupiter Inlet in Florida. Since the banning of inshore shark feeds in Florida waters, the dives take place on deep ledges beyond the state limit. The depth of the dive is around 30 meters, and the shark action is quite varied and intense. Divers may see numerous species including lemons, tigers, great hammerheads, bull sharks, silkies, duskies, and occasionally sandbar sharks. On rare occasions, scalped hammers have been known to show up as well. In South Africa, dusky sharks are often seen on a sardine run mixed in with other species that are feeding bait balls or pilchards. Dusky shark, locally known as dusky whalers, are quite common in temperate waters off Australia. From January to June, small aggregations of juveniles can be seen in shallow water close to Manly Beach, a popular local dive site. Around 2005, while shooting Summer of the Sharks, we chummed at a deep seamount in the Gulf of Mexico, about 70 miles south of Venice, Louisiana. Within a few minutes, 50 large dusky sharks appeared in the slick. We snorkeled them for more than an hour and found them to be quite aggressive. No other sharks showed up, so the duskies were probably the dominant species in that area. That's really cool, and actually a little scary, as far as the dusky sharks being aggressive. So, let's see. Is common around Australia and seasonally abundant in South Africa during the sardine run. Diet consists of a wide assortment of bony fishes, including midwater reef and demersal species, other sharks and rays, cephalopods, and sometimes crustaceans. Behavior. Dusky sharks are highly migratory, moving north or south as temperatures rise and drop. Gravid females briefly move inshore in the summer to give birth, quickly retreating to deeper water. Juvenile duskies sometimes form large schools in the shallows, only venturing into deeper water when they gain size. This is an important anti-predation strategy, as small duskies are often consumed by larger sharks. So that's actually really cool and kind of terrifying, where the little sharks will stay inshore because they know that they're safe from the bigger sharks further out in the ocean. It's really kind of cool, actually, that the further out you go into the shelf edge and the open sea, you get to run into some really, really big sharks. So that's really cool and also quite terrifying. So I would love to see Andy's dusky shark photos, so we'll just kind of rove through these. This is a beautiful shot. Great shot. You can really see that ridge, the intradorsal ridge, that is so characteristic of this species. Such smooth lines on this shark too. Look at this. I mean, it's really like this beautiful bullet. It's just such a graceful shape, gliding through the water. It's so sleek looking. Excellent shot of a dusky shark with a buddy. This is a female, actually, so this is a large female. It's such a gorgeous shark. This one is interesting. This individual was bitten by another shark. So this is a female, and it's kind of odd. This bite is interesting to kind of... Oh, shoot. Let me go back to that. I guess I can't zoom in further, but see this bite around her gills? Because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She was bitten by a large shark, but... And this could be, since she is a large female, this could be maybe a, well, I mean, I was about to say this could be maybe a mating bite mistake where, and you guys probably maybe already know this, but when most sharks mate, if not all sharks mate, male sharks will bite down on the pectoral fin and rub up against the female shark so they can insert the clasper into the cloaca. And female sharks are bigger and have thicker skin. They've evolved that so that they can withstand those bites from males. So, at first glance, this bite on this female right here, this could be from a male shark, potentially. But it is a little odd seeing that's a pretty deep gash here, and seeing that her pectoral fin, looks pretty smooth and unscathed. So this could also be a different kind of incident where maybe another shark maybe was being aggressive. But let me know in the chat what you think might have happened here. It's interesting that it looks like the gills were targeted as far as whatever shark did this to her. It could be, I don't know if it's like more of like an aggressive thing. I don't think it's a predation thing, because that's just like a bite towards the gill specifically, but it's pretty interesting. Let me know in the chat what you think happened to this female, because it's kind of cool to speculate like where she got that mark from. But you can tell it's a shark bite, because you do have kind of like this curve on the lower and upper end. So another shark's jaws did collide with her gills. So this is a really cool shot where you can kind of see the lower teeth, the upper jaw distending a little bit. You can clearly see the pores with the ampullae lorenzini. It's very cool. Beautiful shot here, right in the sunlight. Gorgeous individual. I'm noticing too, like the head is pretty big on the species. So, the head is a lot more robust than I originally kind of thought. It looks a lot bigger than, kind of like the midsection of the trunk of the body. So it's pretty cool. That's a great shot of. That's a great shot of a. It's kind of like a Blue Planet shot, like an underwater, above and underwater camera. What looks to be a smaller dusky shark. And there we go. So beautiful shots from Andy Merck, also known as Lazo Diver. Super cool guy. Super cool research or website from him. So okay. Let's see. We're going to jump ahead to Gills Club, because I think Gills Club made a comment. This is not where I got this from, but they did make a comment corroborating what I was saying about whales. So let's see. Shark. Nurseries for the species have been found off KwaZulu-Natal coast of South Africa, New Jersey to South Carolina, United States, and Australia's northwest coast. Adults can live 40 to 50 years. It's pretty large, pretty long time. Here we go. This species eats other fish, elasmobranch and cephalopods, octopus, squid, and cuttlefish, with one observation of a group of 10 to 20 dusky sharks attacking a humpback whale calf in South Africa. There we go. So that's what I was looking for, was that dusky sharks pack hunting. That's what I wanted to check out. But we really should find sources for this, because this Gills Club is cool, but this is a blog, and we really need some primary sources for that. So 3-year reproductive cycle, but everything else, I do trust this. I mean, everything else is correct as far as the 3-year reproductive cycle. Where the nursery areas are located, this is correct. So we'll keep looking as far as another source to corroborate. Do dusky sharks go after whales? So, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations fact sheet for dusky sharks. Okay, we don't really need the diagnostic features. I kind of want to learn more about the behavior. Oh, no worries, Minges. Oh, no worries. I hope you have a good rest of your night and a great rest of your week. Thanks for joining us as far as the dusky sharks go. But cheers, and we'll see you next week. And as always, really appreciate you watching, and we really appreciate you. I know you'll probably come back and watch the rest of the video, so I'm excited to see what we can find out. But yeah, and before you go, if you have a request for a species next week, leave it in the chat, please. And if anyone, and actually, since we're close to 10:30, if anybody does have a request for next week, please let me know what species you'd like to cover for next week. Let's see. We probably don't need more diagnostic features on Dusky Shark because we already got the main features. So let's see. I won't read all of this, but we'll just kind of scan through this. Me and my McFlurry are on the case, so. I do like reemphasizing this. It does not prefer areas with reduced salinities and tends to avoid estuaries. So it's kind of cool that sandbar sharks have evolved to use estuaries to get away from big predators. And dusky sharks don't like estuaries. And it's kind of cool to see the relationship between them in that sense, where you can make an argument that juvenile sandbar sharks, they're trying to avoid a lot of predators, but they're probably, including that, they're probably trying to avoid dusky sharks too. You know, where it's like dusky sharks don't like to go into an estuary, so sandbar sharks will kind of slide in, exploit that niche, and find a safe place that they can have their pups in safety, like away from big predators like dusky sharks. So that's actually really cool. Other shark species like dusky smoothhounds or the sharp-nosed sharks. Oh, actually, I shouldn't say sharp-nosed sharks. Although sharp-nosed sharks probably do that, but dusky smoothhounds definitely do that. They're doing the same thing where they're using estuaries to have their pups in a safe location. Adults of the species occupy an overlapping intermediate offshore coastal habitat between other similar species of Carcharhinus, such as more strictly inshore coastal species such as the sandbar shark, Carcharhinus plumbeus, the offshore deep benthic Carcharhinus ultimus, I think that's the big nose shark, oceanic species such as Carcharhinus falciformis, the silky shark, and Carcharhinus longimanus, the oceanic white tip, and island species such as Carcharhinus alba marginatus, the silver tip shark, and Carcharhinus galapagensis, the Galapagos shark. Adult dusky sharks are often seen offshore and commonly follow ships. Oh, that's really cool. I forgot about that. So these sharks like to follow ships in the open ocean. That's actually really, really cool. Strongly migratory. Okay. There's a nursery area in South Africa. Newborn sharks are 80 to 90 centimeters. Larger immature sharks over 90 centimeters move out of this area, with females tending to move north and males south. But there's some overlap in partial sexual segregation. This pattern is complicated by seasonal temperature-related migrations, as elsewhere in the range of these sharks going southwards in spring and summer, northwards in winter. Also tend to see these sharks like to move into deeper water during cooler months. So it's really cool. There's a lot of complicated biology going on, or complex biology with this species. And I'm really excited. This is one of the few species we have, we've reviewed on a stream where there's a lot of layers of information to it. So. In Durban, South Africa, dusky sharks move into the surf zone in spring and summer and move offshore in autumn and winter. It's very cool. So that's cool. Sex ratio for dusky sharks is approximately 1:1 in the fetuses of South Africa and Floridian sharks, and the same for adults in Florida. Okay. Birth may occur over a long time span of several months in any given region, and has been reported as occurring from late winter to summer. In South African waters, birth may occur year-round, with an increase in the fall. Oh, this is actually really cool. Okay. In pregnant female sharks caught off of Florida in the winter, there are two size classes of young. Those 43 to 70 centimeters and full or near full term fetuses of 85 to 100 centimeters. These classes may indicate either biannual staggered birth seasons with a gestation period of 8 or 9 months, or a long gestation period of about 16 months. So again, the gist of that is this is a species that takes a very, very long time to reproduce. Whatever the case, females apparently mate in alternate years. Mating in Western Atlantic occurs in the spring. Females move inshore to drop their young, then depart the nursery area. Oh, this is interesting. Young dusky sharks are readily kept in aquaria. It's kind of interesting that dusky sharks do well in aquariums, because I feel like for a species to be so strongly migratory and to like open water environments as well as the coast, it would be kind of tricky to keep it in aquariums, but it's interesting that it's doing well. Dusky sharks eat a wide variety of reef, bottom, and pelagic bony fishes. Unlike the bull and tiger sharks, mammalian carrion oddities and garbage are apparently uncommon items in the diet for this species. Young dusky sharks are regularly preyed upon by other big sharks, including sand tiger, great white, bull, and tiger sharks, which help to regulate the population size of the species. So it's kind of interesting. It doesn't say that the dusky shark strictly does not eat, like cetaceans, like whales. But it is interesting. It makes a point to say that dusky sharks don't really incorporate mammals, oddities, and garbage as much as bull and tiger sharks. So that's actually really good to point out. So, because that I think it probably, given the size of a species, it's probably not impossible for it to still go after something big. But still, I appreciate that note that it's probably not a normal part of its diet. So, reduction of these species off Natal, South Africa, through an efficient shark gill netting program to protect bathing beaches has apparently resulted in an increase in juvenile dusky sharks there. Okay, so beach nets in South Africa that kill great white and bull sharks and tiger sharks, apparently they remove predators of dusky sharks, so the little dusky sharks are actually doing better in benefit from that. But which is a shame, because it's like, I mean, it's sad to see any shark be removed from the environment. So the maximum size is possibly over 400 centimeters, which is interesting. So that gets closer to that whole 14 feet theory. So okay. Lots of fishing interest in dusky sharks, which we won't go into detail just because it's just doing so badly. I mean, here's an example. The catch per unit effort, CPUE, is catch per unit effort. So it's a good metric of if you have one CPUE that's kind of high, and in a couple years it really decreases, it can maybe indicate decline in the species in general. So the CPUE decreased in Chesapeake Bight region of the U.S. Mid-Atlantic coast from 1.7 sharks per 100 hooks to 0.001 sharks per 100 hooks. That's actually really bad. Similarly, decrease in CPUE was reported for Gulf of Mexico from 0.09 sharks per 100 to 0.003 sharks per 100. Multiple authors seem to have found similar declines. So yeah, this species is really, really doing poorly. Since 1993, a U.S. management plan keeps reduced catch quotas for large coastal sharks with the aim of helping the recovery of this and other shark species. There's a moderate increase, potentially from 1995 to 1997. Possibly signaling the positive outcome of management actions. Okay, the catch rates of dusky sharks in Western Australia fell steadily in the late 1970s and early 1980s to stabilize thereafter. Presently, the stock is thought to be exploited in a sustainable fashion. It is estimated that the effects of this fishing strategy will become evident in the population 5 to 10 years from now. The dusky shark is one of the lowest intrinsic rebound potentials among sharks, according to Smith et al. Therefore, its exploitation should be conducted with extreme caution under close monitoring. This is a little bit of an older report, but yeah, lots happened since this report, but still good to have, still a good dipstick for the species. So, excuse me. Since it's 10:30, please let me know a shark that you would like to cover next week. Um, I'm trying to think of suggestions as well. Did we cover? I think we might have covered all of the Chesapeake Bay species, the ones that come into the bay. We may have missed the smooth hammerhead, which would be cool to do. Trying to think of other sharks. I ideally want to do something that's not a Carcharhiniform to kind of like diversify it a little bit. Let's see. I'm just kind of mentally rolling through. Did we cover every shark in the bay, in the Chesapeake Bay? I think we might have, except for. I don't think we've done smooth hammerheads yet, so. I'm just kind of rolling through playlist. We did bonnethead, great hammerhead, the winghead. I forgot we did that. Small eye hammerhead. We've done quite a few of them actually, so we probably shouldn't do another one. But yeah, just let me know in the comments what you'd like to do for next week, and I'll think of suggestions as well. So, but here is a fact sheet on Dusky Sharks. Let's see. Shark species around the world face a wide variety of threats, including overfishing for the shark fin industry. The Dusky Shark is one of the most threatened coastal and occasionally pelagic shark species, with estimated declines as much as 99% in the last 30 years in the Atlantic Ocean and 75% in the last 35 years in the Indian Ocean. The Dusky Shark migrates in waters of the Americas, Africa, Australia, and parts of Asia. Oh, this is great. Okay, so this is from Sims. Inclusion of Sims Appendix 2. So this is a Convention of Migratory Species. So this is actually a really, really important body for shark conservation. So, despite the IUCN listing the Dusky Shark on its red list of threatened species as vulnerable to extinction globally, there are currently no international protections for this migratory species. Dusky shark populations are being caught at unsustainably high rates for their fins. Although there has been a recent decrease in the population of Dusky sharks compared to other species in the fin trade, this decrease is most likely due to population declines as there are no large-scale management measures for the species. The increased pressure of the Dusky shark since the 1970s may have already pushed the species to the edge of collapse. The lack of management, unsustainable fishing practices, and low reproduction rate of the species necessitates better regional, national, and global management. Included on Sims Appendix 2 is a first step towards achieving necessary protections. So that's actually really cool. This is my favorite thing we've read so far on this species. That's a really succinct way of describing what happened to Dusky sharks and why they need help. So, and it's really great to see, again, for Sims, Convention of Migratory Species. If you're a shark on this list, you're one, in a lot of trouble, and two, are getting well-deserved attention as far as, conservation, much needed conservation focus. So, all right, we can take a quick look at this, just kind of the general notes on Dusky sharks. So, let's see, and we'll just kind of scan through this biology and distribution. Dusky sharks have very slow reproductive rates. This biological characteristic has resulted in a low intrinsic rate of increase for the species. In the Western Atlantic, the rate of population increases range from 2.8 to 5.5% annually based on the assumption of a 2-year reproductive cycle with roughly 18 to 24 months of gestation. Recent studies show the reproductive cycles may be 3 years with a 1-year interval between pregnancies. So again, it's just... that's really unheard of and unique for sharks. That really does not help the species at all. So, Dusky sharks give birth to 7 pups on average per gestation period. Based on a 3-year reproductive cycle, the Australian population is estimated to increase by 4.9% annually. This low population growth rate makes the Dusky shark highly susceptible to overexploitation, which is why stricter management of the species is needed. The greatest threats to the Dusky shark are unmanaged fisheries, being caught as bycatch, and low reproduction rates. These sharks are most often caught as bycatch in the swordfish tuna fisheries that occur close to the shore in the Mediterranean, as well as in Atlantic pelagic longline fisheries. So this is again why it's important. Oh, call to action. It's important to just be mindful of what one purchases in the store, like where that fish or that seafood came from, because there's not really a good way currently to prevent bycatch in sharks, and this species is a good poster child of why bycatch is so harmful. So tuna or swordfish, bought in the store, it's good to question like where did it come from, and I mean honestly, like how many sharks were killed in the name of getting the tuna or the swordfish. So it's bycatch is a real problem. It's the number one threat to sharks. We've talked about it a lot on the stream, but I mean this is a really great example of just how devastating it can be to shark populations. So while the Mediterranean population was assessed as data deficient, the other populations have been studied more closely. The Atlantic population has significantly declined, maybe from 50 to 99% from 1950 to 2004, which is why it was assessed as endangered. The United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, so NOAA, estimates a rebuilding time of 400 years for this dusky shark population. Wow. So that is 4 lifetimes for me. That's really sad, actually. So, yeah, this species has really, really been negatively impacted. They face similar threats in the Indo-Pacific Ocean. Sports angling for dusky sharks has not significantly decreased in the southeastern Indian Ocean. The Australian population was found to have declined over 75%, most likely due to overfishing. So this is interesting. Uses. Dusky sharks are caught as both a target species and as bycatch in fisheries targeting other species like tuna and swordfish and other sharks. Dusky sharks are used for their fins and meat both in domestic and global markets. Some fisheries use the dusky shark skin and liver for leather and vitamin A, respectively. The principal demand for dusky sharks in the market is for their fins. Dusky shark fins are one of the most valuable types of fins in the shark fin market. Shark fins can sell for as much as $700 per kilogram. The high demand for dusky shark fins has resulted in overexploitation of the species. It's really sad, and it just is really irritating because it's like, it just, I really appreciate that shark finning has gotten so much attention and so much of an outcry, and there is awareness of shark fin soup and awareness of how that hurts sharks globally, and I mean, but it's still a shame that it's such a big market and it's still so present. And it's just, I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know. It's just sad. I don't really see how fins are very, appealing to people. I don't understand how they can go for that much. I just don't really understand why people utilize them. I really don't, to be honest. So conservation measures. Dusky sharks lack any international conservation measures. Only a few countries, Australia, South Africa, and the United States, have implemented management measures for the shark. No management protections have been adopted or implemented across most of the dusky shark's range, which is why it is necessary to list the species on Appendix 2. Expert advice. The Sims Scientific Council recommends the inclusion of dusky shark on Appendix 2 of the Convention. The Council found that the species meets all the criteria for inclusion in Appendix 2 and should be entitled to the protections provided by such listing. They recommended that, even though good migration data was presented, the amount of data available globally should be increased. The Council recommends the inclusion of the species in Annex 1 of the Sharks Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, as an important first step to improve international cooperation, and they encourage range states to sign the Sharks MOU. So, the call to action. Benefits from listing the species under SIMS Appendix 2 depend on concrete follow-up actions. If properly implemented, listing these Carcharhinus obscurus could improve protection and encourage actions to address threats such as overfishing, establish a first international protection for the species, and facilitate regional cooperation towards conservation and shared populations in key habitats. So, you know, I know that's really vague, and I know that doesn't really drill down into like what needs to be done. But I think part of it is kind of like, um, it is part of it relies on individual countries to make a plan of action, as far as like how you go about protecting the shark, as far as like what quotas do you need to do or limit use specifically as far as fisheries go that may indirectly impact the shark. Another thing that's kind of a factor in this is like how many countries are going to be honorable to signing this kind of treaty or signing this kind of not treaty but agreement, because we've seen in some countries like in South America, for example, where they will agree to protecting the species, but then there's pressure from the fisheries industry to not honor that agreement. So, that being said, SIMS, like CMS, is really important, and it is it is one of the more widely known and recognized like shark conservation tools, as far as like in agreement to protect a shark species. So I still really respect it and care about like their assessment, and care about including the dusky shark in that. But yeah, just it only is as effective as the intentions of those participating. So it's important, and it's really important that each country kind of holds the other accountable. Each body holds the other accountable. But yeah. So I really appreciate this summary. This is a really good fact sheet on the species. Fish base. Usually lead in fish base, but we kind of had so much Dusky Shark material, kind of skip this. So see if there's anything new. It's kind of interesting. Found in coastal and offshore waters, but not oceanic. Interesting note on that. Adults are commonly found at depths of 200 to 400 meters, young in shallower waters. Adults are commonly found in the twilight zone, the young in the sunlit zone. Interesting. Common component of the shark catch. Common component of the catch of shark longline fishery. Feeds on bottom and pelagic bony fishes, sharks, skates, rays, cephalopods, gastropods, crustaceans, sometimes mammalian, carrion, and inorganic objects. Large adults are potentially dangerous. Okay. Let's see what else we can learn. Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission note on dusky shark. This is kind of a cool illustration, a little different looking coloration-wise, but it's the same fin placement. So, and there you go. Good visual on why the fin placement is so important as far as dusky sharks go. Similar species: Caribbean reef shark, Carcharhinus perezii, sandbar shark, silky shark. So apparently Caribbean reef sharks have a blunt snout. Sandbar sharks, the first dorsal fin is, of course, further up on the body. And then silky sharks, their first dorsal fin is further down on the body. So. Juveniles congregate in shallow bays and estuaries. Feeds on other sharks, skates, rays, fishes, and a wide variety of vertebrates, including squid and starfish. Dusky sharks have been federally protected since 1999, and harvest is prohibited from U.S. federal waters. Since 2006, Florida has included dusky sharks on the state prohibited species list. Therefore, it is unlawful to harvest, possess land, purchase, sell, or exchange the species. Historically, the species was targeted in commercial shark fisheries mainly for their high-quality fins, flesh, skin, and liver oil. On a global scale, their populations are considered vulnerable and frequently associated with shark bites on humans. So, nice brief summary on dusky sharks, but I really appreciate that note about specifically it was protected in the United States since 1999 and in Florida since 2006. This is an interesting website, the Save Our Seas Foundation, where they have this kind of interesting little collage of sharks, the world of sharks, with these kind of wacky illustrations. Look pretty cool. So let's just check out the dusky shark profile. Yes, that is a really cool drawing. And sorry, I just saw your note, Howard, about the audio being fuzzy. So, also since it's getting closer to 11, I'm gonna type in smooth hammerhead. And I'm open to other species for next week, but in lieu of another species, smooth hammerhead might be a good one to do. That one, like the Dusky Shark, it probably doesn't get as much attention as it really deserves. It's a really cool species, so that might be a good candidate for next week. So, but if you have a different one, please let me know in the chat. So, but Dusky Shark, here we go. Common names: black whaler, common whaler, Tiburon arenero. Lifespan 34 years. I know we read earlier that it could be up to 50 years. Large dusky sharks also sometimes eat small dusky sharks. I have heard of that, as far as that's part of the reason why the little sharks are, or like females will give birth to dusky shark pups in shallow water and then they'll swim away to deep water. I think there was a study talking about how that could be a prevention from cannibalism as far as the shark goes. IUCN status: endangered, decreasing population. This is cool. Identification: dusky sharks are often confused with Galapagos sharks. Aside from inhabiting different ecosystems, Galapagos sharks prefer seamounts and offshore islands. I think we talked about this before. You can only differentiate them by the vertebrae. Let's see. Dusky sharks can also be confused with silky sharks and sandbar sharks. This is interesting. Look at this. This is another shark. I can't tell if that is a bite mark or if that might be a parasite. Oh, its gills right there. But it's a great shot of a dusky shark. A pretty large dusky shark in shallow water. It's really impressive looking individual. Special behavior. Dusky sharks move a lot. They migrate with changing temperatures, moving to higher latitudes in the subtropical and temperate regions during the warmth of summer, and back again once temperatures cool. Female dusky sharks move close inshore to give birth to their pups. Oh, there you go. Then immediately move offshore into deeper waters to avoid cannibalism. So. Okay. We already talked about maturity and reproduction. We talked about most of the migrations. Excuse me. They have been identified following ships, which is really cool. Here we go. Diet description. Dusky sharks have a broad diet with bony fish, cephalopods, being the most prominent component of stomach content analysis in scientific studies. Species like snoek, also known as snake mackerel, snapper, and southern calamari were part of this mix. Juvenile dusky sharks have a record of other sharks and rays, a bird, and a marine mammal in their stomachs. Okay. Threats: overfishing is a primary threat for dusky sharks, with the risk extremely high in populations in the western Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico. They're especially vulnerable to fishing pressure because they often form distinct regional populations. Female dusky sharks return to the same area to breed, called natal site fidelity, meaning that even though they migrate, their regional populations can be genetically distinct and need to be managed as such. That's a great note. This is a pretty cool website, actually. Interesting. Relationship with humans. While they are large sharks and therefore potentially dangerous, relatively few interactions with humans have been recorded. However, they're regularly found caught in shark nets in Australia and South Africa. Check this out. Okay. Dusky sharks are listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List of Threatened Species, and were added to Appendix 2 on the Convention of Migratory Species in 2017, so that's really recent. But it looks like that call to action was approved. So when we were reading this file, this was the request. I can't speak. The request to include it on SIMS Appendix 2. and it looks like it was approved. So that's really awesome. This species was also added to the CMS Memorandum of Understanding for Migratory Sharks in 2018, so that was also approved. That's awesome. These measures are to aid cooperation in managing migratory species in their habitats. They've been specific interventions to manage dusky sharks through fisheries in Australia and the USA. Commercial and recreational fishers cannot retain dusky sharks in the latter. And in South Africa, there's a bag limit for dusky sharks. It has been recommended that regional and national limits are derived from scientific data across regional populations. Wow, look at this individual, by the way. So this is similar. I know we can't see the claspers, but this, or sorry, not claspers, but like the pelvic fins, but this I'm gonna guess is a female, because look at all of these bite marks. So these might be mating scars. These might be bite marks from male sharks. These are definitely shark bites, just kind of given the shape, like the circular shape, and like the imprint. But it's kind of cool. There's a bite on her back, a bite kind of on the side, and it looks like the fin is a little scarred too. Bite around the gills. So yeah, this looks like, I'm gonna guess pretty confidently this might be a female shark, because biting is a part of mating for sharks. So beautiful shot of a dusky shark right here. Look at that. Wow, that's a gorgeous shot. For me personally, this is really great to see, because this shark, there wasn't a lot of information on it when I was like starting to write about it over a decade ago, which is kind of wild to think about. And I think the amount of information on sharks has just really blossomed in the 10 plus years I've been doing this. Like it's really cool to see how much has changed and how much has grown. As far as like the internet and the availability of just shark content and just shark research. Nice shot. Such a cool animal. We already checked out Gills Club. We have about 8 minutes left. Love hurts, yeah. Oh, cool. I'm down for the hammerhead. Awesome. So yeah, we'll do smooth hammerhead next week. So it's nice to have this much data on the species. It really is. This is definitely, it's kind of funny. We haven't even cracked into like, and we probably won't be able to crack into like research on the species, just because there's so much information on it. But that's a good thing. I mean, this is a shark that really deserves this kind of attention. It would be a shame for it to go extinct despite our efforts. I agree. The IUCN Red List profile was surprisingly encouraging. I thought it was going to be kind of doom and gloom, but I think we're going to be okay as far as this shark goes. There's been a couple of sharks we covered on the stream where I'm like, nah, I don't know how well it's going to do. Especially the critically endangered ones like the Pondicherry shark or the lost shark. I don't really know how well those will do because they have very, very regional distributions that are in highly populated areas and they haven't been seen for years. So those I feel really worried about. Dusky sharks, because they're global and because there is such a focus on them, as far as like the shark community has a focus on them. I feel like pop culture doesn't really have a focus on them, but like the actual shark research community really does do a lot with them. I feel confident. I feel confident that we actually might be able to turn them around and help them. I think we might be able to bring the population back to recovery. I mean, not in my lifetime, but I think eventually they'll be able to kind of, come back. And, I feel like the measurements that have been, yes, good point. Some will require habitat restoration. Yeah, I think the measurements that have kind of started to be put in place in the United States and Australia and South Africa, and then now with SIMS and the Memorandum of Understanding, I think we're really laying the groundwork for a dusky shark recovery, and I think they're going to be okay. I really appreciate that, and it's a challenge. It's a huge challenge because it's truly one of the worst reproductive cycles imaginable for sharks. It's really bad. Dusky sharks are bad reproductive wise. Sand tigers are really bad reproductive wise because they do the whole interhuman cannibalism thing. Um, Dogfish, actually, dogfish are starting to come back a little bit. Like pike dogfish are starting to kind of rebuild a bit. So I feel confident about dusky sharks. I feel like it's a challenge, but I think it's a challenge we're starting to address in a productive way. So we'll just kind of scan through a couple things, and I think we'll wrap up in a little bit. But I've really appreciated how much information there is on this species. So I know it's probably been a very verbose night. I've been kind of reading a lot out loud, but like it's really cool. It's kind of refreshing to have a shark. We've covered so many species that are just rare and just don't really have a lot of information. It's kind of a cool change of pace to see a robust body of information with a species. So let's see if there's anything new here. Again, I do want to scan through the whale thing. I mean, I'm hung up on it because I just think it's so cool. But let's see. The dusky shark is protected in U.S. Atlantic waters and must be released immediately if caught. Dusky sharks eat sardines, eels, tuna, skates, squid, whale carcasses, smaller sharks such as smoothhounds and cat sharks. I really like getting like I know diet appears pretty much in everything, but like what comprises the diet differs from article to article. So it's kind of cool to get a better picture of it. So it's kind of cool. This is the first time we've seen that dusky sharks go after smoothhounds and cat sharks, so little sharks. They also occasionally eat garbage. Young dusky sharks form large feeding schools. There's the teeth again. Nice shot of the. Well, it's a little grainy, but the lower. Is this correct? The lower teeth look really broad here too. Oh no! I think this is a photo of a white shark actually, and I think. Do you know what they're doing? Never mind. I think that jaw set is of a great white, and they're just using it as a guide to show you the upper jaw, lower jaw, and jaw width, like what these things are. And the illustrations are the actual shark teeth. So, because the lower teeth look too big, so I think this is a great white shark, and the teeth are the drawings of the dusky shark. So. Where did these jaws come from? Jaws were relinquished. I don't know. Is this a dusky shark? I mean, well, no. This might be a photo mistake. I don't know. Let's check out sharkreferences.com because they usually have good teeth, like jaw sets. Oh, they don't have any jaw pictures. Wow. Really? That's unusual. Usually this website does have really good jaw pictures. See if there's anything else. I'm actually quite surprised by that. Okay. We will not be able to get through this whole report on dusky sharks. Almost at 11. But yeah, lots of information on the species. Yeah. I think it might be time to call it a night in a bit. So much information. Dusky shark, Carcharhinus obscurus. Again, dusky sharks could be confused with silky sharks and Galapagos sharks. Here's how you could tell them apart. Oh, and that's it. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay. Catch trends, Dusky Shark. So this is probably a good. Okay, this is probably a good note to end on as far as just kind of like showing the decline. So we weren't able to kind of verify the whale thing, but this is probably a really appropriate note to end on as far as Dusky Sharks go. Just to kind of illustrate how the species has really, crashed from shark fisheries efforts. So Western Australian catch trends: black is historic, blue is temperate gillnet fishery, dark green is rock lobster fishery, orange is northern fisheries. So it looks like dusky shark catch has been for pretty level for northern fisheries, but the temperate gillnet fishery, after peaking in the early 80s, really started to crash, which is a shame. And this is a good example, not just of the dusky shark, but I think shark populations in general. Just kind of what happened where I feel like the mentality of the mid 20th century was the ocean is so big we can't do anything wrong to it. It's always bountiful, blah blah blah. And then all this unregulated fishing effort culminates in like up to the 80s for sharks, where their populations really start crashing. I would say modern shark research started happening in the 70s, where people were starting to pay attention to, hey, we're overexploiting these very vulnerable species. 70s and 80s were groundwork. 90s were the beginning of sharing out with the public, I feel, as far as sharks are really crashing and they need our help. And, now here we are. So, but again, to end on a positive note, I think a lot of good has happened as far as, developments concerning the species. The fact that it's been recently added to the Appendix 2 of CMS, and then the Memorandum of Understanding, and that the endangered species, or the endangered outlook, is actually, fairly positive. There are protection measures in place. I am hopeful for the dusky shark. I think we're going to be okay at the end of the day. So, I'm going to have this back up to end on a good note, and there we go. So, yes, sorry, I just saw your comment, Howard. I think it's a great white. I think you're absolutely right. That jaw set was a great white. So, because it's just too much. Like the lower teeth are too big to be a dusky. So I think you're absolutely right. That's a great white. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. It's 11, so we'll probably wrap up for tonight. But this was a lot of information. But it's such a worthy subject, and just like, I know I kind of plow through a lot, but I'm really happy to do that for this species. As far as it's one that I take. I mean, I love all sharks. I take them all seriously, but this one in particular, this one was one of the first sharks I paid attention to as an adult, and paid attention to as far as its conservation needs on a much deeper level. This is one of the sharks that I really personally have dived into a lot research-wise. Just as far as, what is it about, what does it need, and, why is it not really super popular in pop culture, and, what's being done to help it. And I'm really glad to see, as far as, like, policy, and as far as conservation goes, there's actually a lot behind dusky sharks now, so, which I really appreciate. And I'm optimistic about the future. I think, generations from now, it will continue to snowball in a positive way, and I think we might be okay in terms of saving the dusky shark. So, but thank you so much for watching. Also, thank you, Howard. I appreciate your comment, and I really appreciate your drawing. Thank you for providing a dusky shark illustration. I was really excited to do tonight's stream, and I'm really happy you and everybody else was able to join and learn about dusky sharks. It's a species that needs a lot more attention. So, but hope you have a great rest of your week, and next week we'll cover one of the coolest hammerheads ever. Literally, it is the most cold-tolerant hammerhead, the smooth hammerhead, Sphyrna zygaena. So this one is another species that really should get some more attention. It's not as popular in pop culture, but it should be there. It's kind of like the badass hammerhead, I think, as far as like it gets to go up. It actually is the only one that can go up to Canada, which is really cool. So. But we'll talk about that next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, hope you have a great week and enjoy the fall weather. And I will see you next time on Dr. Jaws Live. So cheers. Have a good one. Bye.